Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a 10.5 inch screen upgrade on this 2015 Dodge Journey. If something you're interested in, stick around and we'll see how it goes.
Welcome back, everyone. Let's get to work.
Hey everybody, welcome back. So a little while ago I did a video on upgrading the screen in my F-150. That went really well. You can check out somewhere. I'll see if I can put a link. If not, check out the description on how I did that install. And of course, once I had that, my wife was pretty jealous about her little screen here. So I've ordered a 10.5 inch screen. This I paid for out of my own money, so this is not a sponsored video. So I will leave a link in the description for the unit that I have and the brand. And then we're going to be taking this whole unit apart. We'll do the unboxing and we'll just see just how good the instructions are. They tend to be a little lacking sometimes, and we'll see how that goes. And we'll go step by step, and hopefully we can get this thing up and running today. Okay, so first impressions of the packaging was well packaged in there with the bubble wrap, etc. It seems to be in good condition. However, there isn't a single thing for instructions on how to put anything together or where anything goes. So we will take a look as we're going and see how much of nightmare this is going to be. I mean, I looked online to see if I could find anything specific for this year for the install and couldn't find anything, so it's going to be running blind a little bit, and hopefully we can figure out just how difficult it is. So let's go to it. So it looks like there's going to be a couple of bolts behind here. So I popped this initial one off, but it looks like you got to get these two sides off in order to get to these two screws and pull the radio system out. So we'll do that next. This is a 7/64. It might be a metric version, but this is what I found to fit. So it looks like there is two clips at the bottom here that got to pull straight out. Two screws, those 7/64 that I mentioned before. And now we have a one connector here. Just looks like a top tab there to pull out. Yes, just one little push down tab right here. Looks like we got two more Allen keys here that's going to be able to pull this screen out. Okay, looks like we have the two or three main wiring harnesses on the back that we need to get out. One little tab just on the top. One tab at that top blue there. And then that last one right on the top as well. Alright, I think we are on to the stereo because we have to take the wires off the back of the stereo to plug into the new one. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, I think. Okay, so now we're looking to get all the stereo connections off the back so that we can plug those into the new system. One tab on top. Tab. Tab, tab. This one you got to push at the back part of this tab here, looks like. Same with that one. Okay, so I have been actually on the chat on WhatsApp that they send you a number to call or to contact. So I'm assuming I'm talking to somebody in China. Anyways, they're kind of giving me some step-by-step stuff to go through. The long and the short of it is that they will send you this instruction, and on it has each of the ports labeled that get plugged into here. And as you go through, you find everything that's associated to your vehicle. They can only go into one spot, so you can't kind of screw it up, with the exception of two things. Is the antennas for either the 4G or the GPS. They can be intertwined, so make sure you don't screw those up. The next is the connections here for the climate control. So when we do the climate control, these ones are interchangeable. So if you put it together and you find that obviously your climate controls aren't working properly, you need to switch those out. So obviously you don't put the whole dash back together until you do some testing. Now back in here in the dash, after I've removed the radio, these are the stock ports back here for the back of the radio and the back of the antenna, and some USB ports. So the USB ports are already incorporated into the new unit, and this is the replacement box for your, I think it's basically the U-Sync portion of the show. Then each of these buttons and plugs go back into the headpiece. And I'm just working on the backup camera now to see how that goes and to find out if these will be used again or not. All right, so this is the original climate controls that come stock with the unit, OEM. So these buttons have to come off because they are incorporated into the side of the new head unit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Looks like Phillips. So next thing we want to take out is these ribbon wires. Just going to lift up right here on the edges and pull these tabs up. Then the wire should come out. Two screws, 1 and 2 so far. All right, so once you get that little strip out, then you can pull the buttons off and push this little piece out. And then we're going to put this back on so that we can still have our controls for the climate when we got back into the vehicle. So these are the tricky ones here. You got to get these little tabs pulled back off of there to make that pop out. Okay, looks like we're ready to try and power this thing up. We will see once we get it in there. I'll try and go through some of the connections while I'm inside there, but it definitely has not been easy so far. It's been a little bit dicky, especially on some of these parts. Say almost all the wire connectors only have one place to go, but they give you a kit that has, like, as an example, this is an extra backup camera that we aren't using because I have a factory backup camera, so hopefully that's going to work right. Then it looks like we do not put in the old stereo that gets replaced. And yeah, so let's just see how it goes together inside. So one thing to note, all the clips that you need to put it back in with are not included. So we'll take those off of the original system. Okay, I know this looks like a rat's nest, and it is, but the things to remember is that there's very few connectors that go to more than one place that can possibly plug into more than one place, with the exception of this harness and this harness. They are both the same pin wiring. The top one that used to plug into the back of your screen goes into their box that they provide here, and the lower one goes back into the climate control system for what you have here. The other one this is for my factory backup camera, and it provides a RC connector, and in it from here there are two that come with it, and according to the fellow I'm talking on WhatsApp, he indicated this one. So cam vin, so it says cam vin, so I'm assuming that's camera video in, and the other one is just in Chinese, so I'm not sure what that one's for, but this is the camera video in, this one. Other than that, everything else as laid out with their picture diagram that they give you. This is your antenna that came off the back, and they give you an adapter to get onto the antenna for back here. We have our GPS antenna that we'll have to figure out how to mount somewhere up on the dash. It does come with another antenna for putting in a SIM card. So if you wanted to add your own SIM card for your own Wi-Fi, this is the plug that would do that. But I'm not doing that, so this is all connected to this piece of harness, so it does other things as well, so I'm just going to leave that on there. If I want to get to it at some other point, I can. And then this would be the antenna here for the cellular service if you want to hook it up. Other than that, everything has its own plug with the exception of this one and this one as well. So these are for the climate control, and that does not indicate which one. And the fella I was talking to on WhatsApp, his answer was, we'll plug it in, and if it doesn't work, switch it. So I'm going to assume it's not going to hurt anything if I have it the wrong way. Everything else that's in here can only be plugged into one thing. It does not appear that I'm using these two USB connectors that were in the vehicle here. There are two new USB ports which are connected right here. All right. It's these two right here, 1 and 2. One is a 3-pin, one is a 4-pin, or sorry, 6-pin. And so they have these male connectors, and I believe they're for doing hardware upgrades and other data transfers into the system after that. So when we're done hooking things up, I'll make sure that these are accessible somewhere else as well. So let's see if we can kind of put it in place, and I'll power this thing up and see what happens before we actually install everything. Okay, so got everything up and running. Had to do a little bit of work with the tech support back and forth. They're actually pretty good to deal with as far as helping me get things configured and set up and working properly. Initially, I couldn't get the backup camera working. There is a system to doing that. All you have to do is hold on the screen while you're backing up or in reverse. It brings up a menu to allow you to select the particular type of frequency that you want to use for your camera. And then we went back and forth trying to get all the heating and all that kind of stuff working. So I got everything working. So we're just going to put it all back together now, and we're going to see, make sure everything kind of fits together properly from there. But so far, It's reasonable setup to put together. Radio works, everything seems to be working. It's basically an Android tablet that is now working with your onboard system for your rest of your car and your navigation. So it'll be good. Let's see what we can do to put this thing back together now. All right, so it's taking me a little while to get everything kind of back into place, but she's now kind of fit in there fairly nicely. What I have to do is pull those tabs out a little bit just to give it some more pressure. Then I'll put the tape down on this once I'm satisfied with it. All in all, it's taken some bit of a learning curve to kind of get everything working, but for now, I would say it's a success. The one thing I am having trouble with is the voice recognition off of the steering wheel. So you can say, like, push that and then have something happen. I got it so that Gemini does come up, but it's not automatically voice activated, so it's not listening. The other thing that is not quite working is this thing has heated steering wheel, and I've got a button up here for it, but it's not actually working yet. So there's a couple glitches there, and I have the techs through the company working on it right now to see if they can come up with a solution. So hopefully that'll be, so I'm going to go outside and take it for a drive and see how that kind of works out. Well guys, there you have it. It's no easy install by any stretch of the imagination. It's taken me all afternoon of going kind of back and forth to try and more or less solve the mystery of where things go and how they go together, because they provided no step-by-step instructions. All they provided is a photograph of what ports are for what. I would think if they would do at least a couple 3-page, 4 pages of breakdown of where things are supposed to go and come off and go on, which parts have to go back in and which parts have to come back out. I'd take things apart 2 or 3 times to make sure that I had all the clips and everything in the right place and have things set and ready to go. There are a few issues still, I think. I did get the Android Auto to finally work. That comes on another app name in the back of this, which was news to me. But I did finally get it working, and that seems to be working okay. It's a little bit sluggish compared to other Android autos that I've used on my other vehicles, so I'm not sure if that's going to sort itself out or not. Again, I'm still waiting for the engineers to get back to me on the steering wheel heating that I can't seem to get to work on this thing. Other than that, 95% of everything seems to be working right. I don't have the ability right now to have the command button on the steering wheel where I could push the button and then say, hey, call somebody. There is the version on Gemini, which is on Android Auto, and it seems to be working a little bit glitchy. We'll see if I can get that working a bit better as well. So right now I'm a little bit reserved to recommend it. It is a significant upgrade over the Uconnect system, so I'll give it that. But is it have a few glitches that hopefully maybe some firmware is going to be able to work some kinks out? Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. I'll leave a comments down below if I've had any more trouble with it for you guys to make a decision on. I hope I've given you enough information to make a decision for yourself if you want to actually install this for yourself. And if you have and you've made a decision, maybe you leave a comment down below, tell me what you think. And otherwise, like, subscribe, do all those other things, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.